And I'm delighted to be joined here now with my colleague Paidi Manning and outgoing Fine Gael Councillor for the Callan Thomastown area, Patrick O'Neill. Patrick, you're here. This is your kind of probably one of your last official acts as a county councillor. I suppose a lot of looking back, but a lot looking forward to as well. How are things going in your area, Callan Thomastown?
Well, look, it's only early days. It's hard to say. Callan box has been open. Joe Lyon's very strong. Stephanie Doheney seems to be polling okay. Some of Joe Sheridan seems to be polling okay in some of the boxes as a new candidate as well. So look, it's very early days. But it looks like Joe Lyons has held a strong vote in his own area, which is going to be key to him being comfortably elected again. Outside of that, it's very hard to say what way things are going in our area as of yet. So yeah, look, there's only maybe I'd say 15% of the vote have been tallied there.
Yeah, exactly. And you had three seats there, and I suppose you'd be delighted if you could return the three, but it would be a bit of a task at the moment.
Yeah, like I suppose it all depends on the Sinn Féin vote now that comes, and I suppose nationally they've been on a bit of a downward trend, and then so I find the Callan Thomastown area is a very conservative area in general. It's probably their least strong area. So if that trend continues or follow through in the vote, they may be under pressure for a seat, and that will open it up obviously for hopefully Fine Gael to hold their three that we have. So that's probably what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and Paddy, we were talking about that earlier on. Last time, about 15% of people voted for an independent candidate in Callan Thomastown. There's no independent running this time, so it'll be very interesting to see where that 15%
There's no
goes.
fringe party, protest party, any sort of alternative party. It's all Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, and one Green.
It's as establishment as you can get.
Well, that's it. Like, and that's been the trend across a lot of local areas. It's lack of options for people. Like, there is a lot of frustration out there. There's no doubt about it. But I suppose people are frustrated with government. They're frustrated with opposition. They're frustrated with everything. But there isn't really, there hasn't really been a whole lot of alternatives for them to vote for in a lot of local areas. You know, the main parties are the only ones that are running candidates. So those votes have to go somewhere. And so it's going to come down to which candidate, I suppose, people feel at a local level is going to work for them. And, you know, if they pick up the phone and ring and that they're going to answer and do the job.
Absolutely. And, Fine Gael has had a change of leadership before this local election. Do you think that has had an impact from what the bits you've seen on the doors?
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, I think it has given us a bit of a bounce, a bit of energy. Not to the level that we would love it to be, but I think things weren't going well after the referendum with Leo, etc. And I think Simon, as he is full of energy, etc. He's out and about. He's done a lot. I can see from with other councillors across the country. He's put time and effort into it. And look, I think it might be a better day than we were expecting about 4 weeks ago,
Fine Gael were stagnating with Leo. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. We've 100% stagnated. Like, as being in government for so long, it's kind of hard to... It's very hard to go up more so than... We've kind of hit that 20 to mid-20s mark for the last 5-7 years even, and have struggled to get out of it. And if anything, it looks like we're going to go down more so than go up. Like, politics is very fractured at the minute, and it's I don't think any party when it comes to the next general election are going to be polling over 25%. So the next government is going to be extremely interesting how it's all going to play out. Independents are going to play a big part in it, but are independents going to want to form a government? Are they going to want to get involved? Are they going to want to make decisions that are going to maybe go against how it got them elected? So it's going to be, politics is in for a very, very, very interesting 12 to 18 months in Ireland.
And you're bowing out. You're still a relatively young man,
58.
Does do you said this is the end of your politics for you, or do you think you might come back in the future?
I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if I find it today kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
And look, I really enjoy it. It's always something that I took pride in doing. I found it very difficult the last 12 or 18 months to do it. I think it's only I wouldn't feel right trying to run for a seat that I couldn't do the job properly. So I think it's the right decision for me to step away now. I have 2 small kids. I have a busy job and home life as well. And look, for now, it's the right call. But I've no doubt in the future, if I feel I have the time to give it, I'd be very much interested in doing something along these lines again.
I must say their 2 children are behind us, and they're being as good as gold.
For a change.
Unlike the father. You've been a councillor 10 years.
Yeah.
What was the high point?
Look, I suppose you'd have to say the year he had as mayor of Kilkenny City. That obviously opened up a lot of doors and opportunities, and going to events representing Kilkenny, being, I suppose it was great to see how good a brand Kilkenny is internationally within Ireland, everything that Kilkenny has to offer, and that was just a great year. And yeah, look, there were so many highlights in those 12 months, and I felt like I suppose it was a really strange situation, as I was a rural person being mayor of Kilkenny City, and I suppose I had a lot to prove. I felt when I got in, I wanted to be a little bit different. To, I suppose you had the same faces for a long time there doing that job, and I think I covered myself fairly well in that year, and gave it the role, the justification that it deserved. But outside of that, like just seeing the work that goes on across my own local neck of the woods in Bennettsbridge, Clare, Dunbell, like some of Thomastown, Danes Fort, knocked over Ballyhale, bits and pieces there would have supported me. Cuff Strange, it's always great to help someone, and that's nearly better than anything of my own achievements. Helping someone with an issue is always going to be some form of highlight.
Equally, you ran for, in 2016, you were a co-campaign manager for John Paul Phelan. 2020, you ran yourself for a general election. National politics, if you had been elected to Dáil Éireann, given your workload now and how busy you are, do you think you would have been able to keep at? Would you have stuck at it? Because, it's hard, once you're in that, it's hard to get out. I think people do feel indebted to the people who vote them in.
Oh, yeah. Look, if I was elected to Dáil, obviously I would have been having to pack in the 9-to-5 job. There's no way you can do both, bar a bit of farming on the side of it, but you were going to have to get someone else in to do a lot of the day-to-day work. I always had that ambition to get to national level. That was always not something I ever shied away from. I always kind of said it. I never saw myself being a councillor forever. If I didn't feel like I'd make that next step, I would probably, I had my chance in 2020. It didn't go well. Look, it wasn't, I kind of expected it not to be my day anyway, the way polls were going. It was just a hard campaign for Fine Gael. Politics is all about timing, realistically. At the end of the day, particularly as a new candidate, you probably need someone to step out to let you in more so than anything in an established party. And I really enjoyed it. It was a really tough campaign. The problem with it was that I suppose I was nominated maybe a year before the election, and there was no date for the election. And you're kind of like, you have party people telling you need to be out canvassing, you need to be doing this, and I'm working a 9-to-5 job that you couldn't give up. So literally it was a 3-week campaign once the election was called or whatever it was, and that's all you had to do to cover the ground. And it's very hard to, I was happy with my performance on that day, but I was never really at the races, to be fair. But for what I had, polled nearly 4,000 odd votes that time, I was quite happy on a bad day for the party.
9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you finish at 5:30, go home. All you want to do is sit down. The last thing you want to do is go and canvass, knock on doors, campaign. Well,
that was the last local election. That was what I was doing, working 9 to 5 and out into the doors for 3-4 months solid. And it wasn't straightforward, but there was no way I could have done it now with the small kids and the job. I've moved roles in the job, so I'm a bit more important now than I was 5 years ago. So I can't be avoiding certain bits of the day job as I wasn't involved in 5 years ago. So yeah, it's politics the way it's gone, local level in particular. It is a full-time job. It's going to be very hard for anyone who gets involved to hold down a 9 to 5, because one is going to suffer if not the other, or both are going to suffer. So that was the way I was finding it. And unfortunately, politics started to suffer more so in the last 12 to 18 months on my side, because at the end of the day, it's a 9 to 5 that is the priority. Unfortunately, you can't juggle it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Pat, thanks a million for taking the time to talk to us here on the Irish Political Roundup. And from Roisin, myself and Paidi, we wish you every success into the future. And we'd also like to say thank you for all your help, your support and your encouragement of the channel, the Irish Political Roundup. And as I said, we appreciate the support and we wish you every success for the future.
You're more than welcome, Paul. Thank you very much.